I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reports on closed session actions. Placement of non-public school students. Daryl Talkin motion. Ralph Womack second. The board approved the placement of non-public schools 2015-16 new students number 83 and number 84 by the following vote of 7-0. Litigation, anticipated litigation. Ralph Womack motion. George Neely second that the board voted to reject claims number 513780 by a vote of 7-0. That concludes our closed session report. Now we have a spotlight here on our presentation by the Junior League of San Joaquin County and the Creek Family Foundation. Lisa, you're in charge?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay.
I'm just going to do a mild introduction today.
Thank you.
Because I'm only going to introduce Catherine Rodell, who is the district liaison with Junior Achievement in the Creek Foundation. So come on, Catherine, come on up and do your piece. She's our wonderful technology coach.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've had the pleasure of being able to work with the Junior League of San Joaquin County and the Creek Family Foundation for the last several years. And they've actually been helping our district since I think about 2009. So it's been quite a few years that they have been donating things to our classrooms and our students. But this year, what we want to recognize is the fact that they have funded 5 additional classrooms with one-to-one Chromebooks. And these were funded for classrooms that were not at one-to-one school sites. And so 3rd grade teachers were given that opportunity to apply to be a part of this grant from the Junior League and the Creek Family Foundation. And so, and in addition to that, they had funded, of course, I was here last year, and the Junior League ladies were here last year as well, when they funded 2 classrooms, one-to-one iPads. And those 2 teachers happened to be both at one-to-one schools this year, and they elected to continue with their iPads. And so the district was able to take what would have gone to those 2 classrooms and make 2 more classrooms for a total of 7 classrooms that are now one-to-one at non-one-to-one sites. So pretty cool, huh? All right. So I'd like to invite right now the Junior League ladies to come up here. So we're going to have a crowd. This is a crowd of active women who are really trying to make a difference in their community. And we are the lucky recipients, we and our students. And so we're so lucky that they chose us. So I would like to introduce to you right now Margarita Reyes. She is the president of Junior League. And Lisa, are you going to? And then Lisa Creed is here as a representative of the Creed Family Foundation. And I would like, they happen to have a gigantic check here that they would like to present. And then afterwards, we may want to take a few pictures if that is okay.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so Margarita, can I have you come up, please?
Oh, a mic that actually is my height. Right. Okay, well, good evening, trustees of the Lodi Unified School District. My name is Margarita Reyes, and president of Junior League of San Joaquin County. On behalf of our organization, I am pleased to present the district a check in the amount of $45,351.90 to purchase Chromebooks for 5, effectively 7 classrooms for this school year. Thanks to our partnership with the Creed Family Foundation and United Way of San Joaquin County, we are happy to continue our investment in technology tools for the students. In fact, this check represents our third year of placing technology in Lodi Unified Classrooms for a total investment of nearly $145,000.
Whoa.
The Junior League of San Joaquin County is a women's organization whose mission is to promote volunteerism, develop the potential of women, and improve the communities through the effective action and trained leadership of its volunteers. Formerly known as Junior Aid of Stockton, we have been in the business of building better communities for over 88 years. As a part of our effort to build better communities, our members are aware that education provides a broad-based solution which can address most of our community's problems. And as such, Junior League believes that encouraging learning is all of our jobs. Our organization, with about 250 Type A women, created a multi-layered approach to help the schools and teachers help their students. And 8 years ago, we initiated a backpack and school supply program called Ready to Learn to ensure students have the supplies needed to do their homework. In 2011, we added one of your schools, Wagner Holt, and then in 2012, we added George Washington Elementary. We encourage writing through our pen pal program at Wagner Holt, provide books for their annual Great Winter Read, sponsor 6th grade students to attend Expanding Your Horizons at the University of the Pacific, which is really meant to inspire their interest in science, math, engineering, and technology tools. So, how should we measure whether we have been successful with these students? It can be measured through dollars and cents, or through statistics, which show how their levels of reading and math have increased due to the use of their iPads. But it's also through the proud smiles of students who suddenly get it. I remember last year when several junior leaders came into the classroom to provide rewards for students who attained their personal reading and math goals mid-year. One student was upset because he did not receive a prize. And we told him, we'll be back and you can do this. You can learn to read, you can use the apps on the iPad, and we know you're going to earn enough stars to win your own prize. So at the end of the year, when we came back, the student could barely contain himself. He was so anxious and was just really jumping up and down to show us his line of gold stars, having mastered reading like the other students. And then he told us, now my favorite thing is reading. It helps me learn. I like reading so much that I'll probably get addicted to it one day. And as you know, that's a pretty good addiction. Thank you.
Thank you.
If it's okay with you, because we like taking pictures with everybody, is it okay if we take our picture with you folks?
Absolutely, yes. I don't think you all get up and get over there.
Can we ask our teachers, recipients to join us, please, as well? We're so thrilled that they're able to join us. Yes, and come up.
So we happen to, even though this is our 2-week break, a few of our teachers are off traveling as far away as Costa Rica. But we were able to have Jen Friend here from Podesta Ranch, Emily Leva from Mosier, Stephanie Pilcher from Vinewood, and Susie Henneke from Greece. And so these are 4 of our 7 teachers this year who are the happy recipients of those Chromebooks.
How do you want this, Ms. Reyes? How do you want it? Where do you want it? You tell us.
Well, in the front, and I love that you're standing up because we could only see your little heads.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Teachers.
If you need time off, am I in the office? I'm refreshing.
Oh, wait.
The plan is to be done by tomorrow, and then Friday. Yeah. She's
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
yeah, really. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're so glad to have you on board.
We're going to do
Don't leave yet, don't leave. I want to say a couple of words. Thank you, President Reyes, for your leadership on that Junior League, and Lisa Craig for your foundation in Crete. I want to say that you are special. All these people are volunteer. That's a special kind of person to me. I was involved with volunteers working in our program, and I volunteered, so it takes a special kind of person to do that. And I appreciate all your concerns and all the money that goes into these Chromebooks, and the teachers will be proud, and I'm sure the students will be delighted. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll continue with our agenda. We have our superintendent's report. Dr. Washer?
Thank you, Mr. Nava. Members of the board, we'll continue with sharing some information about volunteers and some positive things that are happening. You may have heard about an effort called Love Stockton. It's a community effort where volunteers band together to do projects around Stockton to beautify areas, organizations, buildings, parks. And they were at one of our schools on September 26th. They were at Westwood Elementary School. So Principal Tim Shepard would like to publicly thank the volunteers of Love Stockton. It included staff members, parents of the school, and community members who had no association with the school. They fixed up their garden area. They did some yard work, some picking up of litter, some pruning and trimming, and they even washed windows. And they're very appreciative of the efforts to help beautify Westwood Elementary School. So thank you to the volunteers of Stockton. Also, I want to show you a little clip. Couple, maybe last week or the meeting before, we talked about Delta Sierra, and Mr. Womack had mentioned also about their graduation and the videoing that occurred there through devices that the students made. So this is part of their STEM program, and we have a little video here to show you what they did.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you.
This is all being done by a drone that the students built and are manning. Thank you to Brad Watson and Delta Sierra for sharing that. I know that some of you have been out to see the STEM classes at Delta Sierra. and in particular the drones, and so this is a piece of what that can do and what the kids did with that type of technology. So thank you to Delta Sierra. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Dr. Washer. Next, we have a public hearing. I declare the hearing open. Lodi Educational Association reopeners for 2016-17 year. Any comments, Mr. Pelican? Any comments from the board? Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
I gotta raise this up because I'm not as short as our precious volunteer group. I want to thank you for this opportunity to make my comment before the board. I'm a product of this school district. I've lived here nearly my whole entire life. And I want to take you back to Ronald Simpson of Lodi.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to take you back to 1974. And we had a very tragic event happen that year. It impacted my life. And I would wondering, you guys probably know what that is. That's when Tokyo High School burned. And it was a vision of one man who saw a need, and he did something about that need. So he was not a teacher. He was loosely associated with businessman with the family business, and he had a dream. And so he got a school bond together. His actions resulted in the new Tokyo High School we have right now, and he did that because the children were the ones that were in need of that. I know this man, his son, who was my age, was graduated that first year, and that school was open. And specifically what my comment is about is, when I went to school, we didn't get breaks 2 months after school started like this. So I have questions is, why do we have this break? And I understand school is stressful. I went through all of high school all the way up, through college, graduated, got my degrees, which, that's why we're all here. And the point I'm trying to make is, you fine people came in off of your vacation to hold this meeting tonight. And those ladies, some of whom were teachers, came off of their vacation tonight to this meeting. My question is, what is the purpose of this if my daughter and most of her friends have 2 weeks worth of homework over school break? Okay, my daughter starts school at 7:20 every morning, and she gets out at 10 after 2, and often I get home in time for my work to pick her up. And then her and I together spend till 9:30 every night doing homework. So she's in school 6.5 plus hours a day, plus her volunteer work she does with the school. And so I'm just wondering, is there a better use of school time than to have 6 hours of class, anywhere from 3 to 6 hours of homework, plus on the weekends? It just kind of doesn't add up. And so my thought was, going forward in 2016, because I know this year is already scheduled out, but maybe moving on forward, is there a way that the body can address this issue? These children are stressed out. You've got some very brilliant children that are going to these schools, Lodi High School and Tokyo both, and I know some that even go to the schools in Stockton. These kids are being burned out. A lot of them can handle it, but what's it going to do to them later? How is it going to affect them wanting to move on to college? If they're doing college level work now as freshmen in high school, some of them might not have the drive and desire that my daughter has to proceed onward. The other thing is, when I went to Lodi High School, we had an electronics program there. There was some very interesting stuff with science that was going on there. Those programs have been gone for years. These children are brilliant. We should lead them in the direction of the sciences. That is the technology of the future. So my proposal is, I'd like to come back next year and see if we can put together a comprehensive program to possibly adjust even some of these issues. Granted, not all of them can be achieved because there just simply isn't enough time in a day. But let's get these children on track into a more responsible learning system. Not system is not a good word. Habits and procedures. Because right now, of the 200 plus children that I personally know from my friends, my sister's friends, my friends' children, they're just seriously stressed out. And for somebody who's 14, did you have that when you were 14? Okay, so let's look at the whole picture of what these children are going through. And you guys are our leaders. You guys are here because you have knowledge, you have wisdom, you have degrees. We have 2 doctors that I can see. You guys have the ability to figure out something better, and that is my hope, that you can put your heads together and say, yeah, let's talk to these kids. Let's get into the school. Let's interview and meet some of these really brilliant children. And the ones that aren't so brilliant, let's bring them along too. There's no reason. Everybody in this room has the potential to be smart as anybody else outside of the gene factor. So let's concentrate on bringing everybody together and not make it so hard for everybody. But perseverance does have its rewards, but overdoing it diminishes that reward. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for your gracious gift at this time to me.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
Mr. Knopf, I believe the comments were related to consent item A18, not to the public hearing that you're on at the moment.
I noticed that, yes, okay. Any other comments from the public? If not, then I will declare this public hearing closed. Action items, consent agenda A, routine business. Any board members would like to? Yes, Mr. Neely. A9, please. A9 for Mr. Neely.
Nava. A2, please.
A2 for Mr. Womack.
A9 for me.
A9 for Beverly.
Mr. Knopf, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. A4,
Hold on, A4.
A9 for me as well.
A9.
And also 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. But I have a plan to expedite things, so not to worry.
Okay. Okay, we've got a plan. All right. What is the other plan that the board members have? We have items to approve.
Motion to approve the,
I'm sorry. Any members from the audience would like to pull any items on routine agenda? If not, yes.
to approve.
Mr. Beverly?
Remainder consent agenda.
That's motion to,
Yeah.
to approve the rest of the consent agenda, second by Mr. Neely. I call for the board vote.
Can we get a voice vote?
Are you, Todd? Everybody but you looks locked in. Are you doing it for us?
There we go. Oops. You got one item. Almost there. It looks like we need to go. Yeah. Okay, you go. I'll come on. Call for the voice vote. Yes, was that
Okay, all opposed? Motion carries 7-0 to approve the items on agenda A, the remainder of the agenda. Okay, we'll start out with item A2 with Mr. Womack.
Just a quick comment for reassurance. Under the contract list, we're paying to archive, scan, and digitize transcripts. which is fine. I'm sure that there will be checks and balances in place for the confidentiality of those records. So I'm sure the company is a well-vetted,
respected education, and we've been working in education, and they are bonded and
perfect
confidentiality.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other comments on item A2?
I make a motion that we approve A2.
And moved by Mr. Womack, second by Mr. Neely to approve item A2 on the routine agenda. Board vote. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Yes. Item A4, Ms. Castle.
Yes, just briefly, this is the adult education block grant, and I know Debbie Sheen is here. And I just wanted to say on behalf of all of us, thank you. You do so much for adult ed, for Lincoln Tech, and you do it so well. And here once again, you are our official representative to the Delta Sierra Regional Alliance, which I think is that continuing?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that.
It's the only way that we can receive adult ed funding. We must be a member of the consortium.
Yes, and I know there's so much more involved, and so thank you very, very much. And with that, I move to approve item A4.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Castle and second by Mr. Talkett to approve item A4. Call for the board vote.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, item A, we have, since Mr. Neely was the first one to pull that one, I'll update Mr. Neely on item A9.
Thank you, Mr. Nutt. This just kind of struck me as I was going through everything on the consent agenda that we're going to buy a textbook to teach computer science. I mean, come on. We're supposed to be looking for some different ways of delivering our textbooks. Now, if we keep this textbook like we keep other textbooks for 7 years, you know how much computer science is going to change in 7 years? This is just, I'm sorry, it's just, it hit me. I think that we need to reevaluate this. And if you look at I guess the title is Java Methods, third AP edition. But then there's a whole list of other things that go along with it. And am I wrong is there anybody here to represent? Oh, there's Lisa.
Hi,
hey, Lisa.
And Mr. Kukas, who wrote the course of study, are here to answer
All
any
right.
questions.
Sure. Why aren't we finding something online to do with this? I mean, I know there's stuff out there. I absolutely know it.
None of the this course, AP Computer Science,
right,
it's got certain rigorous blocks to go through. None of the publishers have an online-only version.
And maybe we should develop one and sell it to everybody else.
We probably could, and maybe my kids could.
Yeah.
And as far as those other items go, those are mainly just teacher materials.
Okay. And so so how many classes are you going to do?
It's an unknown, because we don't know what the demand is.
Yeah.
I kind of think, but I'm a little bit biased, that there's going to be a high demand. As I talk to the current juniors and sophomores, there's a tremendous interest in it. And for graduating seniors, Mr. Krugas, you're 1 year too late for me.
Yeah.
You know, I wish we had this earlier and a long time ago. And so there seems to be a pretty good demand for it. So I'm thinking 2 sections, but
yeah,
I can't say.
That's what you're thinking. Okay. Pick up one of these back there on the back table. It's got it's an online curriculum that has a whole line of computer and information technology classes. I don't know if they're AP or not. They're probably not. They have AP classes, but I don't believe it's in computer science. So I understand that that's our direction. But I had to pull this because this is just...
And truthfully, the students' use of the text be used as a guide. Most of their time is going to be spent in lab.
Yeah.
In lab work and self-development work. So it's a blue blanket for the kids.
So you're looking for next year?
Yes.
Okay. I'll keep an eye on that. I would like to come out and see how that's done because that really interests me. With that, if no one else has any other
Yes,
comments, I will
Mr.
move to
Everly
approve.
is next.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. I do support these type of classes. It's got nothing to do with any of that. My only wish would be is that instead of having it just at one campus, these types of deeper understanding of computer systems and programs would be more widespread throughout the district. And I guess that leads me to a question as to, do we have any idea or plan to expand these to the other high schools? Looking at anybody?
Any of the courses that we have brought forward can be offered at other high schools, especially a computer literacy course like this or an application course. We have been working with our middle school, especially Delta Sierra and Bear Creek, because they brought forth some beginning classes and intermediate classes that will lead up to an AP class like that. So yes, they can be offered at other schools as long as we have the qualified teacher that can teach it, and they want to use this, they will use this course of study.
But the other three comprehensive high schools, nobody's actually stepped forward and said, hey, me too.
Not at this point. I mean, Mr. Cook has followed the process and got everybody involved, but at this point, we haven't seen that. Maybe in January or February when they start to build their master schedules, and it could be in there.
Because it will be in the catalog,
Yes,
correct?
it will.
And so when kids are looking at that, they can then ask, well, why not, you know, my school? So, you had kind of mentioned the credentialing. What is your credential?
Math. And that's one of the main issues is currently the state computer science is under a math credential with some other versions of computer science under business and industrial tech, but it's primarily under a math credential. And the state Senate last year approved a new supplemental credential for computer science to get some other folks in. But right now, I think the math credential is somewhat limited. If I teach one or two sections next year, that's one or two sections of math, you know, old math, that are not available for. And so that's an issue, particularly in an era of shortage of math teachers.
And that's part of why I asked that, because I know you are a math teacher. How many sections of computers courses do you have right this year?
None.
None?
None.
Okay, so this would be your first?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, see, and that kind of all dovetails into kind of where I'm going with this, is that obviously, you know, I believe in a broad choice of courses, and that means a lot of different departments. One of the confining issues, we can want whatever course we want, but it can't happen unless you have FTE. And if you don't have enough FTE in order to offer this class, you've got to take something else away because your box is this big and it can't expand. So I would kind of offer that for food for thought for everybody, is to, when we do have these courses that are exactly the types of courses that our students should have. I mean, come on, computers are everywhere. Everybody's going to touch them. It doesn't matter pretty much what your job is. I'm really worried about the FTE confinement that we have, so that a lot of these courses that we're talking about expanding, hoping to move forward and get these in, our FTE is definitely still down from where it used to be, and there also used to be above formula teachers. And so I'd like just to bring that forward so that people can kind of start getting it in their head that this is really an important issue that would allow us a broader course of study for our students. And that's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Castle.
Mr. Krukis, I want to thank you for developing this course and taking the initiative to do this. We are behind in this area. And what I wanted to ask you is I noticed in the write-up that you gave us that it looks like you have a vision for something even grander.
Right.
And would you briefly explain that to us?
Well, I have a vision that computer science, like the other sciences, is an equal science, particularly maybe even a greater science these days in terms of physics, chemistry, and biology. And just as each one of those has its own particular ladder of growth, that computer science should within the high school have its own particular ladder of growth, from elementary through the advanced AP course level. My own personal vision is that we want to expose students very early on in their educational life, and Delta Sierra is doing that now in middle school, but perhaps elementary, and certainly in high school, on exposure to computers, and particularly for students who are currently disadvantaged and at risk. Are certain minority and poverty students who've never touched a computer. It may be the first time that they can do that in school. And as with anything, students, once exposed to it, may catch that spark. But if they're never exposed to it, there's no chance of that developing.
And thank you so much. And that's in keeping with our wonderful donation that we just received, and also we're working very diligently, our one-on-one, as Lisa can tell you, at every school. But thank you very much for your leadership, and with that I'd like to motion.
Okay, 1 second before you motion, Bonnie, I want to comment on this, although I didn't pull it. I want to say, if indeed Mr. Krukas has 2 computer science classes at a particular school, can we make sure that those 2 math classes are not eliminated, that they are in there for the students to sign up for, or if they're required to have them? I know Mr. Heberly was concerned about eliminating those 2 classes, if indeed he has 2 computer classes, being a math. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm not sure what courses you teach right now, George.
I'm pre-calc, and I've been a stats teacher in the past.
Yes.
So if students need math classes,
yes,
I'm sure the district will provide a teacher for those math
classes.
We're not going to eliminate math classes.
No.
One good opportunity, though, is, for example, pre-calc is currently running 3 sections.
Yes.
And it is conceivable that students would sign up for this class, since there's a good possibility it can be the 4th year of math. From the State Senate has approved this type of course as a math course for C credit in an A through G curriculum. So some students really don't want to take pre-calculus, but they must take pre-calculus, and so this might provide them with some type of alternative.
It's a good way to sell it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm thinking along those lines a little bit.
Just helping the party.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Krukas. Thank you, Lisa, for your presentation and your response. Mr. Neely has a comment. Oh, somebody had a comment in the audience? Oh, yes, sir.
Ron Simpson again, and thank you. Part of what my little impassioned speech was about technology, and he does have a really good idea. It's something you should look at, but not only with a Java-based platform. I don't know if you guys are keeping up with what's going on in China and Japan and Korea, but they are light years ahead of our children, age for age, in their computer skills. Their 8th graders are programming stuff that our juniors in college are learning and doing. So what he has to offer is a good step. It can be refined into something that's going to be more productive, but technologies, as I stated earlier, technologies are the way to go. But a book does have some value, but a book to teach computer. My daughter has been on computers at Millswood School since she was, I don't know, 3rd grade, and then through Woodbridge, and then through Millswood and Lodi High School. So they already have hands-on with computers now. They already have the basics of learning how to get around PowerPoint, Word, and surfing the web. So instead of maybe replacing a math class, expand the curriculum to include, or we called them, oh gee, now I can't remember the name I wanted to use, but they were electives back then as an elective course. And the children who are going to be able to handle that, those are the ones who are going to grab onto that and go. So just thoughts, and again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Gassel, I'm ready for you.
Yeah, I move to approve item A9.
It's been moved to approve item A9, second by Ms. Gassel, second by Mr. Heberly. Call for the vote.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7. Oh, somehow, somehow.
It's not of mine.
Not of mine.
Good join me.
Back. Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. All right, motion carries 7-0. Back to electronics again. All right, we have item A11. I think we combine these?
Yeah.
You
well,
can.
Here's my plan.
Okay.
And it actually starts with A10. And I think we welcome. Can you come on up just for a brief moment and would you introduce yourselves to our board?
I'm Jessie Garing and I teach at Lodi High School in the agriculture department. And I'm Rebecca Freeman, a Tokay High School ag teacher.
And these two young women are part of our ag powerhouse. That is fair to say. We're so proud of you. Thank you. And what I like to do, and this is my plan for efficiency, are you also the diesel tech people?
No.
No, okay, so we won't do that one, A15, but the others I know that you are a part of. And we have to approve these individually, but I wondered if you could speak in totality briefly to these courses. Item A10, 11, and 13 are all the same, more or less, and so you could explain those first briefly, because I loved everything that I saw here. It's so fitting because we are that community and you do such a good job. So if you would just enlighten us.
Thank you for your kind words. The A10 is the Sustainable Agriculture Biology. And what we did is we took the basic ag biology and it was condensed into a Sustainable Agriculture Biology course that meets NGSS standards and the agriculture standards. So that would be either a freshman or sophomore level class, depending on what their 8th grade counselor recommended for them. And the goal behind that is to introduce them into the agriculture industry and taking a biological approach. Now, the 3 courses do not have to be taken in sequence together. Say a student decides their junior year that they would like to take the agriculture and soil chemistry course, they can come in and take it. They don't have to take sustainable agriculture biology before then. But basically, it's just 3 years of agri-science courses that are UC approved with the lab science D credit. And these were written with the University of California Curriculum Institute, that we did last November. And so there are 3 years that are all NGSS approved for 3 years of science.
Okay, wonderful. And then the leadership course is a separate course?
Yes. And the leadership course was developed to give our ag students more options with their electives. Currently, we have floral design, ornamental horticulture, we have a variety of ag mechanics classes, and one ag computers class. And the idea behind it was to eliminate the amount of time students retake a course. Currently, we both teach floral design, and we have students in there for 2 or 3 years, which is wonderful because their interest is there. But we would also like to offer them more electives that they can choose from throughout their hopeful 4 years in agriculture.
Okay, wonderful. And then the woodshop course, which sounds really interesting.
And this one was mainly inspired from Tokay High School. So,
my teaching partner, Rochelle Yates, is kind of the driving force behind our ag woodshop course.
There used to be, as you probably know, a woodshop course at Tokyo High School. And we, just by talking to the students in our ag mechanics program, there is a huge interest in it. There's been a lot of talk about it on our campus. And I think one of the things to really get it going would be to develop this course and then hopefully move forward from there. But there is a huge interest on our campus. And we're doing this whole CTE expansion, and the kids seem to just love the hands-on woodshop projects.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for mentioning that CTE emphasis. I know from my son, who is heavily involved in agriculture, he cannot find people to fill the positions. So I have to believe that you have your students set up for a very vital and interesting career path with these courses.
And just to reiterate that, my husband as well is a cabinet maker, and they find it very, very hard to find, very low-level skilled employees, just with the basic skills, that then they can go and, train them with the specific skills. But, a lot of these kids coming out of high school don't even have the basic woodworking skills to just go in straight into industry.
Yes, and then your ag pathways too, that you've done such a great job with.
Our goal is with all 5 of these courses to just create more hands-on lab opportunities for our students to learn by doing.
Thank you so very much for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Mr. Nam?
Yes, Mr. Womack.
I actually was going to pull a couple of these, and my colleague beat me to it, but
okay.
For all the right reasons. And I just want to comment also that when I read the curriculum and talked about the importance of leadership, the life skill involved in that across all sorts of courses, so that I'm really pleased to see that. And the woodshop part is probably one of the best classes I ever took as a kid in high school, was my shop class, because the rest of my life I knew how to measure twice and cut once and all that other stuff. So thank you for that. I'm really glad to see these courses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Womack. Any other comments from the audience? Okay, one more.
I'm sorry about this.
Ron Simpson again, and I was very sad to hear that the woodshop courses were taken out of the curriculum. I had Mr. Smith for woodshop at Lodi High School, and I learned so much. And you guys, how many of you guys had woodshop in high school? Come on, this is a no-brainer,
No-brainer.
Everybody can learn, and we even had girls in our woodshop class, and you know what? They did a better job than the guys, so anybody can do this. And I don't know if you've been on any grape ranches lately, but I'm out there with my buddies helping them out, and a lot of wood is involved in agriculture, so having to know how to use those tools, number one, it keeps somebody from getting hurt. Primitive Pete, learn how to use the right tool for the right job. That's not being taught now. People get hurt because they don't know what tool to use. So,
Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
Going through school, I even had wood shop in middle school here in Lodi.
I did pull item A10, Bonnie. I don't think I just had you from 11 to 15.
Oh, so we've already
approved item A10. So we'll go with item A11.
Okay. So I move to approve item A11.
Moved by Ms. Castle.
Second.
Second by Mr. Everly to approve item A11. Board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item A12.
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Ms. Castle to approve, second by Mr. Neely. Call for the board vote. Approved 7-0. Item A13.
Move to approve.
Ms. Castle moved to approve. Second by Mr. Neely. Call for the board vote. Mr. Freitas? 813. Okay, 813 is approved 7-0. Item A14.
Move to approve.
Ms. Castle moved to approve. Second by Mr. Everly. Call for the vote. It's okay, Todd. Am I too fast for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll slow down.
A voice vote.
A voice vote.
Ms. Castle, you said?
Ms. Castle moved, Mr. Heberly second. Okay, motion carries 7-0. Item, that's it. 8:15, I'm sorry, 8:15.
Which looks like a fine course, diesel technology course of study. Yes, Lisa?
Yes.
All right, so I move to approve.
Okay, moved by Ms. Castle, second by Mr. Womack to approve item 8:15. Call for the board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to the agenda, consent agenda B. Yes, Mr. Neely. Mr. Neely has moved to approve. Second by Mr. Womack to approve consent agenda B. Call for the board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Other actions, provisional internship permit and approval. Mr. McKelkin?
So now this is simply another one that you've seen, a series of them coming through. We have to bring them to open meetings on the other action items. So this is just an additional one for one of our teachers.
Yes, Mr. Neely. Moved by Mr. Neely, second by Mr. Womack to approve a provisional internship permit and approval. Board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, a little humor there, Mr. Falcon. Personnel matters.
Move to approve.
Mr. Heberly has moved to approve, second by Mr. Neely. Call for the board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Communications, we have comments from the public. I have one card. Randy Cordones, or I'm sorry if I misspelled your last name, or I pronounced it.
Cordovez.
Cordovez, thank you. Thank you, Randy. Cordovez.
I'm Randy Cordovez for transportation. I'm just bringing something that's not on the agenda tonight. It's the changes of hours in high school. How it's, I really don't think it's gonna be a good idea to do so because of by changing the hours by 30 to 40 minutes. It's just gonna cause, I think, problems with parents bringing their students to school. And they're just gonna have to go back and forth. They can't take them all at once. And also for the by not changing the times, how it won't affect the students by changing times because of the they just don't want to get up early, and I think by doing that, it's just gonna prolong their days in school and not get good teaching for them. And sorry, I'm a little nervous here. And how it's going to affect a lot of areas in the district if times are changed, like reduction in hours and things like that. I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cordones. Thank you very much. Any other comments from the audience? I only had one sheet. Okay, we have comments from employee group representatives. Oh my gosh. Okay, comments from board members.
I'll take a rain check, Mr.
Rain check, that's good, Jeff.
stockpile it in 3 minutes.
Any comments from board members?
Yeah, I'm gonna make one quick one. Just take off from there.
One quick one for Mr.
All right, and
Neely.
that's as I was doing this research on the Digital Academy, I started thinking about this network that Lodi Unified has put together, and it is incredibly impressive. We've got over 30,000 users now on our computer network that covers 355 square miles and over 50 locations, and it's running. And that's, I mean, we do have some glitches here and there, but anybody who's worked with computers for any length of time knows that what we've got, the glitches that we have, are really relatively small compared to how well this thing is working over this. I mean, all the traffic that we've got going on right now, 15 sites that were all put on one-to-one. Our tech department and our staff has done a heck of a job, and our teachers have done a heck of a job implementing this whole thing. So my congratulations to all of you. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Any other comments, Mr. Everly?
Thank you. What I wanted to talk about was kind of a common theme that came up through this whole meeting so far, and that was, you know, the courses that we are opening up and offering or redesigning and refreshing them and bringing them, you know, with a new twist to them. And I think that is commendable. And when you have these courses that are open to all children, it just really somehow, somewhere, you will find that spark to keep the kids engaged and knowing that, you know, instead of, well, what are we learning this for? Well, a lot of that is the application once you get there, and then it's like, aha, this is why you're doing it. Because the end result is we want them to find a job and be productive citizens for everybody. Some of these courses that I'm still hoping that we can restore. I mean, these are courses we had in Lodi Unified. And in particular, it would be that the high schools had a business department. Sound familiar, Ms. Jean? Yeah. Because when my kids were going through, we had business departments. And so things like marketing, accounting, intro to business, those types of courses I think would really serve our children well. And those aren't new. Those would fall kind of, I guess, under the category of restoring those classes and those opportunities for our children. But then again, too, in today's world, there are a lot of things that we can offer the kids that we didn't even think of a few years ago. And that's because of technology. You mentioned technology, Mr. Simpson. And these are courses from anything within our core classes, and we did talk to this earlier about robotics, biochemistry, material science, and those types of courses are the wave of the future. That's what our children are going to be touching. Just a matter of fact, we know that. The industrial group through the Chamber of Commerce knows it. People who are trying to find employees, they're finding people with no skills. Well, I don't want us to continually have to import our workers. I want us to create them within our own system. And I guess I'm a little impatient also, because I see that every lost year that our kids can't touch these types of courses, we're missing out in a greater sense, but they are missing out. Our students are missing out on an individual basis to help them find a direction, to find a purpose of where they're going. And of course, these have to be phased in. I totally get that. And it looks like we are moving. So I want to celebrate that and say, yes, we're trying, we're pushing forward, but not to stop, but to just kind of keep going on that same path of opening these courses to spark our kids. So I do want to commend what we've done, but I want to encourage to go farther for the sake of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevor. Mr. Womack?
Yes, only because I think the last meeting was September 15th, so a few things have happened since then. I just want to congratulate Debbie again for your appointment. I think it's well-deserved and you'll do well there. And while I'm talking about you, pleased that I got to run into you when I attended the Building Trades Career Fair and Apprenticeship Pathway event. And we had kids there from Lodi High, Bear Creek, Tokay, and Lincoln Tech. None from McNair, but that's a different story. Also, I want to thank, I attended the Measure L committee along with Mr. Nava meeting. Also, I want to, what else did we do? I attended the evening meeting at Julia Morgan regarding the mold issue. It's a repeat meeting, and we had less turnout than the first meeting. So there weren't a lot of people there, but there was a lot of good discussion anyway. Thank you to the Junior League again for about $45,000 or so for our schools, and the Creek Foundation, of course. And thank you to Got Kids Foundation, because we have donated over $10,000 to the schools just between July and September of this year. So Got Kids is out there trying to drum up money, but they're also giving the money to the schools where it's supposed to be. So thank you for that. And I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Nava.
Thank you, Mr. Womack. Anybody else? Can I have your script, Ralph? I just wanted to make the comment that we both attended those meetings, so we talked about it. So I'm not going to be redundant and repeat myself. Again, good job, Debbie, for your work down there. Okay. I want to go again, continue with the agenda. Combination classes, Miss Lumpkin. Lampkin? First time out. Welcome.
Good evening. President Nava and Superintendent Dr. Washer and Board of Trustees. I'm here to give you an update regarding the combination classes this year. And I want to start off by giving you a little history of the classes enrollment history of combination classrooms. Right click. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll just look at you. So here is numbers showing a little history of the combination classes, excluding Cerna Elementary School, charter school. So in 2011-12, there were 62 combination classes, and then it goes down to 49, 46, 44, and 34. So you see a trend of every year, slowly, our combination classes are becoming less and less. This school year, classroom distributions, common classes are as listed. In kinder first grade, we have 4 combination classes with K1, 5 classes for grades first, second grade combination classes, 2-3 combo, there are 9. Third, fourth, we only have 1 classroom, and 4-5, we have 11. There's a little bubble there in fourth grade combination classes, and then 5 and 6, we only have 4. The reason for the number 11 is we tried to avoid this year the 5-6 combination classrooms, so they kind of pushed it in the other direction. And that reason for that was because we were trying to avoid 5-6 combos because of the math program, 2 different complete math programs, and so we're trying to avoid to support our combo teachers in that way. So the number shifted in different directions. These are the combination classrooms distributed by our Title I schools. Out of the 18 Title I schools, we have 21 combination classrooms. Some of our Title I schools ended up with no combination classrooms, because that's just how enrollment falls into place, where kids fall into, the numbers fall into place. And then we do, the ones in red, 5-6, I highlighted those on purpose to point out to you that those are the classes that we purposely added additional FTE, half-time support teachers to support the 5-6 combos. We were trying to avoid is to have limited 5-6 hours because of math. So they do have a half-time support teacher for those classrooms at those sites to support them specifically with the math program.
Okay, can I just ask, I'm sorry to interrupt, but now that you mentioned the half-time teachers, so would they then, their workday is only half-time, or are they in that class only half the time and then they go somewhere else for the other half of the day?
Yes, there's 2 teachers.
They're only half-time.
So they're only half-time. They're half-time.
Okay, very good. Yeah, thanks.
And these are where the combination classrooms fall into place in our non-Title I schools. There are 13 non-Title I schools, and there happens to be 13 dominant classes. So the numbers pretty much are evened out between Title I schools and non-Title I schools. We just happen to have more Title I schools. And we have a few class schools that ended up with 0 combination classrooms. And this was very interesting to look at this information. We wanted to know how many years of teaching experience for our combination, are assigned to combination classrooms. We tend to feel first, that all our new teachers are assigned to combination class, but that's not the case. And so we looked at the numbers and teachers' assignments and worked with HR on finding out how they were assigned and how many years experience they had. And I've also had a lot of discussion with principals asking them how that was decided. And our teachers collaborate, discuss, and decide by grade level who will receive the combination classrooms. And in many cases, it's not necessarily the new teachers. Many of our experienced teachers take on the challenge of taking on the common classes. We also wanted to look at and give you an update on how our students in combo classes doing academically compared to students in non-combination classrooms. These are assessments from last school year, our benchmark assessments, and the number of students that were in combination classes compared to those in non-combo classes. And we looked at the ELA benchmark assessments and compared those, and we see the overall average. Or in English language arts, the overall average was 66 scored, and compared to non was 68. And so it's very similar, not too much of a difference in that area, and you can look at it by grade level. And the same thing with math, very close, 72 overall average compared to 71. You'll notice something that stands out in kindergarten, 75 students in combination classes scored a little higher in our non-combo classes. And we believe that is due to when you're in a K-1 combination classroom and those kinders are exposed to first graders, they'll tend to pick up and actually benefit from being in that with other students who are receiving higher standards. So they kind of support those students in scoring higher there. So how does the district support our combination teachers? We have our instructional coaches who pay special attention when we do trainings and support teachers that are on call. Our combo teachers know that they can reach out to our coaches to provide support. We also have our coaches provide 4 combination support teacher meetings a year, where they come and have dialogue about what's happening in their classrooms, how are they dealing with their curriculum. We talk about pacing, some of the challenges that they're facing. They brainstorm and support one another. We also provide flexibility regarding the benchmark assessments. So with timing and flexibility, if they give the assessment or not give the assessment, or when they give the assessment, we give them more flexibility in that because they have to consider the 2 grades. And again, earlier I mentioned that we do have some FT support the 5-6 teachers in math. And then one of the things regarding the technology and curriculum, because we have with iPads and the Chromebooks and technology embedded in our curriculum, our combo teachers are really benefiting especially from that because, for example, in our math program, Math Expressions, there's a program, technology resource called Math Tutor. So our 1 grade can be working on the Math Tutor's individualized tutoring math program while the teacher's giving direct instruction with 1 grade, and then they can flip. Then they can, so that as technology curriculum becomes more and more available, teachers are going to have more resources to support. So we want to make sure that our teachers are aware of those resources and that they are accessing the resources. We're making sure that our teachers are aware and have received training and support in that. And then probably the most important is the site. I have been meeting with principals and the things that they do with their staff and with one another to support the combination teachers. They make sure that grade levels collaborate and plan together. And so our teachers are very cooperative with each other. They are very supportive of the combination teacher. They make sure they plan together, that the combination teacher is not on her own, especially our new teachers. That when they place students in classrooms, there's special attention paid on who's placed in the combination classroom, making sure that there's kids who work independently, parents who are who are comfortable with the combination class, will take some consideration in that place as well. And so the principal pays close attention to that, and making sure they address any concerns regarding who is placed in the combination class. And then teachers also platoon for ELA and math. Because of the Re-180, it's actually helped with the combination classes. The combination teacher many times is the one who's teaching the 180, and the other students who are not in 180 go to the ELA, the regular ELA group of other grades, and actually is supporting the combination teacher. And then, of course, a lot of different centers. They do a lot of centers, and so principals support their teachers in making sure that their centers. And if there's depending on the resources that the school has, if there's an instructional parapro, they kind of prioritize the combination teachers. I have been asking as well, as I've been visiting schools, to please take me to the combination classroom teacher and ask questions, how's it going, and some of the things that they're doing, the support that they're getting. And I've been asking principals, what are you doing to support your combination teachers? And one thing I hear over and over, a trend that I'm hearing from principals is that their teachers are amazing, that they are very willing to work with one another and support the combination teachers. It is a challenging assignment, and so no one denies that it's not a challenging assignment, but they do pull it together and make the best out of the situations, make sure they do the best they can for their students. So are there any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Neely, start out.
Okay.
First of all, it was 4 years ago or so we started on this path of looking at combination classes, and I want to give the staff credit for having done a lot to address the issue. There's been a lot of help put back out towards those classrooms, and I'm surprised to see the numbers down to 34. Happily surprised, I should say that, to see the numbers down to 34. And I'm kind of curious at how we accomplish that even with class size reduction, because usually class size reduction and an increase in combo classes go hand in hand. So has anybody got were we just lucky? It just happened to work out that they went to the right schools and we didn't have to divide it up?
Ms. Neely, members of the board, I think that it's different every year, and based on enrollment, we had an enrollment trend of declining enrollment for several years, and so every year it was almost a new ball game. We're stabling out now, so we're able to move cohorts up, and when we stabilized the staffing ratio in K3, it's easier to move kids when they're still in those same blocks. Right. When you have different numbers, in different grade levels, it makes it more difficult when they move up the system. So I think that some of it we can say yes, there are reasons for, and some I think it's just where they are and where the kids show up.
Do you think it has anything to do with the increased emphasis that the district has placed on not having combo classes?
I think that there has been a concerted effort on staff's part to minimize combination classes, and every possible avenue is looked at before making a class a combination class. Every absolute possibility, including is there any more monetary resources we can use to address it. So I think that there is more effort because of the emphasis that the board has placed on it. So yes, I do think that staff has done a great job. Thank you for recognizing that, to minimize it. And I think also the closing of small schools that would have a lot of combination classes also had something to do with it as well.
Good point. Okay. Could we go to slide 6 for a moment, please? I just want to point this one out.
teacher assignment one?
No, the teacher assignment.
Yeah, the one you had there, that's 6, isn't it? Wow, it is. You can take a look at that. You can see that fully 30% of our teachers for combination classes are first-year teachers. And we add year 2 in there, so we have about 47% of our combination classes taught by people who have not completed BITSA yet, which is kind of interesting. I mean, maybe some of them have, but generally speaking, that's where our trend is. We're much stronger or higher numbers in the first couple of years. That still concerns me. I think that I'd like to see us do something about that, and this is not negotiations. I'm just going to throw this idea out there. If we had a district training program to certify teachers that want to teach combo classes, and then give them a significant stipend for that certification. I don't know if that would be possible, but it's certainly something that we might want to look at if we want to get year 1 numbers down low. And I also understand how we come out with year 1 numbers. Sometimes we don't get a combination class until
late in the year.
Late in the year, or 2 weeks after school began, and so, you know, there's always that. But I think that if we look at that and we start to approach it, I think we can drop that number down, just like we've dropped the number of combination classes down. When you put emphasis on it and try to fix the problem, I think we can do something about that. So, but overall, I'm very happy with the report. Thank you very much. And Dr. Washer, thank you for what you guys have been doing on this. And thanks to those 10 plus teachers also for jumping in there and doing that. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Any other comment?
Thank you. I'm glad that we're recognizing the challenge of combination classes, because it truly is. One of the things that when you were talking about the halftime teachers go in and support, and then there's platooning, there's a lot of different strategies to kind of offset that challenge. Is it, I don't know, is it a possibility that maybe paraeducators or a fully credentialed teacher could split an assignment, half a day of this class? Maybe there are 2 combos in one school. They could do half a day support here and half a day support here. I mean, have we looked at anything of adding more adult bodies into the classroom to kind of take the pressure off?
Mr. Heavily, members of the board, we have done that with the 5th and 6th, and there is no 5th, 6th combo without an additional certificated teacher to help support.
That's because of the math.
Yeah, we did that because of the math. We have not explored that same type of format for any other combination class. That would take resources to do that. If that's something the board wants us to look into, we can let you know how much that would be. If that's, you know, an avenue you want us to go down, we have not approached it like that to this point.
And that was, that's kind of what made me think of asking that question, is that if we're doing that for some of it, you know, maybe we could expand that idea into a halftime credential teacher or a paraeducator or both or whatever. I mean, it just, throwing it out there is something to, if it's a challenging assignment for teachers, it's probably challenging for the students as well. So just kind of throwing my thoughts on the table there and see what happens. Oh, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
One more point I want to make real quick. On that chart, go to the next slide down. We can't put a lot of credence in what this chart is, because some of the schools tend to take the highest of one grade and the highest of the other grade and make that a combo class, rather than, like in a 3rd grade, you take your highest performing 3rd, 4th combo. You take your highest performing 3rd graders and your highest performing 4th graders, because they work independently well, usually. So I'm not, the statistics don't mean that much, because we don't know where the kids come from on that. So my comments, I'm just pointing out, my comments were not based on that. It's on all those activity things that you guys are doing.
Thank you. All right.
Just a brief comment. Each year, we've just done better and better. I mean, that's really very, very significant. And I thank you, Kathy, and the cabinet for the leadership. And thank you, Ms. Lampkin, for going out and asking the administrators and the sites, you know, what they're doing. And it reminds me, when I taught elementary, there always would seem to be that wonderful culture, community, whatever you want to call it, where they did help each other. And that's obviously happening. And when you think of the only alternative would be the capped enrollment, which no one wants. It is so unpopular. So this is just so commendable. We have done better and better and better, and obviously a lot of district support, which is very, very exemplary in my opinion. So thank you.
Anybody else? I have a short comment on these. I'm elated by the number down to 34. When we were 58, I was really frustrated because of the combo classes, and I understand the logistics of it, but since we went down to 34, I mean, that's outstanding. Another thing that you do is, if those students that are in combo classes for 1 year will not take a combo class the following time, which you are working on that, I'm sure, because I've talked to some of the principals and the teachers that teach the class, so they won't see those kids in a combo class anymore. And they do have, like I said, the one I visit at Julia Morgan, you have kids that are they work together, you know, in classes and independently also, and so that's quite a bit of help. But I am really impressed that we went down to actually 34. Again, the 1 year teachers at 10 is not very much for the amount of schools that we serve in this district in elementary. 34, actually, it's almost one school per that has a combo class. Okay. So again, thank you for the hard work and that you've been doing, and again, hopefully that they will go down. You can't tell. It's just like coaching a team. You know, next team you get a bunch of stars that are good, and then you go 10-0, and then the next year you go 0-10 because you don't have personnel to do that. But I compare that in analogy. I don't know if you understand. Okay. Any other comment? Okay, Jeff.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, would it be possible to get back to the slide with the teaching assignments? And a question through the chair for either Mr. McKilligan or Ms. Lampkin. Where it says year 1, year 2, year 3, do we know, are those teachers who have never taught before, or are they those teachers in their first year with Lodi Unified?
Your first year teachers, first year, they're the teachers.
So,
First year teaching.
so we know that they're first year teaching, they're not teachers who came with 10 years experience, this is their first year in Lodi Unified?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
It's a fair question what you're asking. I don't know.
Because I know we do give you for your service credit, which might mean that they might be in their first year in the district, but they might not be fit to teachers. So I was just wondering if we clarified that or not.
We can look at that again. I asked for first year teacher, first year, but then I need to ask that second question. First year in Lodi, to be more clear.
Okay, thank you.
Might even be smaller than that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, I just have some comments.
Comments? Okay.
Sonia Renholt. I now work at the district office, and I have been a combo teacher 5 out of 10 school years for Lodi Unified School District. I haven't been to a board meeting in a while, but don't be surprised I'm here tonight because of combos. First off, I do want to say thank you because I really genuinely feel like our district has gone a very good direction with our combo classes. I'm super happy to see that the number of combos have dropped. I'm very happy to see that they've given support to the 5-6 combo teachers because of the change in curriculum at the math, which really worried me last year when it first came out. I really think we are moving in the right direction. I do want to point out a couple of things that still distress me, and it's already been brought up tonight, but the fact that there are 16 teachers in their first year or second year of teaching doing combo classes, it really worries me. I taught a combo class my first year. It was an overflow combo of 32 kids, only 4 were girls. I cried every night until quarter 2. It was very, very tough. I'm surprised I'm still a teacher after that, but I am because I love education. But to have almost 50% of our teachers, of the teachers teaching combo classes, to have less than a year or 1 solid year of experience behind them before they begin teaching a combo class is a tragedy. And I think that it would be great if our district could work with our union together about making that not happen. Providing teachers who have more experience, who have more education, who have better classroom management under their belt, who aren't dealing with bits of year 1 and 2, which just adds another level of difficulty to the first couple of years of assignment. To have those more experienced teachers be combo teachers, I think would be an excellent, excellent move in the right direction. The other thing that I also love to hear is that it was mentioned that you guys really made an effort not to have the 6th grade, the 5-6 combo because of the math, which is awesome. I would also like to see you try to eliminate the combination class at K1. I taught a K1 combo as well, and that is just, the level of difficulty is insane for a teacher. But it's more unfortunate for the students. Kindergarten students don't have the ability to work on their own. And I love the way schools come together, and I love the way staffs come together and they find ways just to make it work. But those first 2 years of a child's educational life really build the foundation. And those students, especially in kindergarten, they need to learn classroom management skills. They need to learn to be able to work on their own without having to be forced into that situation day 1. So just to kind of baby step them through the process. So if you guys could look at that K1 situation, I would much appreciate it. At any rate, that's really all I wanted to say. Thank you very much. I really do love that things are looking better. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Any other comments?
I'd just like to say that I forgot to say earlier, that we anticipated 43 combo classes at the beginning of the school in June. And with the communication from principals, I want to credit our principals who are closely giving me information about as kids were coming in and out of the schools and their office staffs, communicating with my office, looking at the numbers daily to see where we can eliminate some of the classrooms and make some changes before the year started. Had a huge impact on lowering the numbers and trying to make many changes before the start of the year. So I do want to credit our staffs at school sites who look really closely at trying to dismantle some common classes where needed and making some shifts before the beginning of the school year.
Thank you, Lodi. I know that 43 to 34, is that what you did from the beginning? That's admirable, I think. Okay, thank you very much for your report. Continue on with our other but presentation. Digital Academy, Mr. Neely.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. It really is a board discussion, but I've asked that this be put on the agenda. We'll get to the PowerPoint in just a second. Todd, you're going to have to help me through with that. I wanted to start a discussion so that everyone will kind of realize what a true digital school or digital classroom is like. Now, we've gone a long way with our one-on-one and the infrastructure that we're building and all that, and I think it's fantastic. I think now we need to start looking at the next step, and I would like to talk about a digital academy at Tokay High and Bear Creek High Schools of about 150 students or so. And so that will allow us to learn the issues and the problems that you have with the Digital Academy. First of all, let's talk about what a Digital Academy is. I'm going to try to be fairly quick about this, but I passed out this information to everybody, and I think there's some more in the back there. I want to do a disclaimer right now. I am not pushing this company. There are other companies out there as well. I just happen to have access to this marketing material. And the reason I have access to it is because this is what I chose when we started a middle school last year at Able Charter. We already had a digital curriculum. We had Apex, which had all of the things that they needed for high school, but unfortunately they did not have a middle school component, so I had to go out and look for another one. And I did a lot of research and I settled on this one. But like I say, there are a lot of others out there. Doug, go ahead and hit that first slide, please. All right. Let's talk about the difference between a digital school, digital classroom, and this one-on-one concept that we're doing now. The one-on-one is kind of an in-between thing. A digital classroom, your curriculum is provided by one provider. They provide everything you need for all your core classes, your electives, and all of that, okay? And in the packet that I passed out to you, there's one that says the California course list. If you peruse that, you'll see that there's everything. There's science courses. There's a whole list of CTE classes. There are computer classes, all kinds of things. We're going to talk about those a little bit as we go. But there are no textbooks as of the kind that we're used to seeing. There's no need for young ladies to walk around with an 80-pound backpack because of their textbooks. All you need is an internet device anywhere at any time to access the curriculum. There's no, oh, I left my book at school. No, you can get on it. You can get things at home. So there are no textbooks whatsoever. And the curriculum is provided in a format, so it's constantly updated. Now, we talked about some of the issues that we have, and some of the issues we're going to have with that computer class is going to be taught out of a textbook. That's going to get old. Now, the curriculum here is constantly updated. I believe I told you last time we talked that our social science class out at Tokay, one of the social science classes, actually has a textbook that lists Barack Obama as the junior senator from Illinois still at this time, and that's the one that they're using right now. So the digital curriculum is constantly updated and always remains current. And as I said, the curriculum can be accessed through any internet device. It could be a mobile phone, it could be a tablet, laptop, it could be a computer at grandma's house. Anywhere they go, they have access to everything. Go ahead, hit the next one, please. Also, teachers have access, parents have access, and they can see exactly what the student is learning and where their scores are at. The next one down there is one that I really like. The curriculum that we used had an assessment package, looked much like the SBAC test. So it got students used to doing that kind of test. But when they were done, they also gave a prescription of assignments to help that student in the areas that they were had shortcomings. Teacher didn't have to do that. Teacher administered the test. The test was graded by the computer, just like what they're supposed to be. And then the assignments were already made and put on that student's website. Next thing is that teachers can tailor the content. They can add to it, they can subtract from it, they can tailor it to meet their class needs. If it's a more advanced class, they can put in extra things for those students to do. You can also have students at different levels doing different things at the same time. Next one, please. And there are some of the things that are provided, and not all of them have it, so we've got to look at this carefully. The Curriculum Council would be the one to, I'm saying, that would pick the curriculum, but they could look at all these things. AP classes are in here, foreign language classes are in. There's even one on the foreign language class. If you only have a couple of kids that like want to take Chinese and we don't have a Chinese teacher, they will have an online Chinese teacher to do that. So you can offer classes extra like that. Of course, it's got the CTE classes, all kinds of electives, and then the test preparation for both the KCE and SBAC and all that kind of, SAT prep, ACT prep, All of those things are in this one portal that these students go to. And they've got access to it by a teacher turning it on or turning it off, or a counselor. Next one, please. Okay, here's a quick film on this from this company. It's called Inventive. And the only reason I put this in here is I want you to see kind of what the interface looks like and why it's different than just a textbook.
We're rebuilding our core math and English language arts courses to offer the most rigorous and engaging content available. These courses are built with flexibility in mind and can be used for original credit, blended learning, credit recovery, unit recovery, and extended learning opportunities and can be customized to meet the needs of your district. These new courses are built from the ground up to the common core state standards and include mobile optimized content, rigorous curriculum, and technology enhanced item types.
Can't really hear that, but that's a math problem that they will go through all the steps too to show the kids exactly how it works.
This video shows the organization of these new courses and highlights lessons from many. They're also mobile optimized and can be used seamlessly on any device.
Lots of videos, illustrations used, things that get that student attention.
It begins with an objective to introduce the concept to the student and provides context and background about the lesson.
This lesson will focus on the development of the neoclassical period of reading, primarily the 18th century.
Our courses have a variety of interactions throughout the tutorials. These new math and English courses incorporate real-world content that includes interactive timelines, enhanced graphic applications, video, and technology-enhanced item types to make learning relevant and engaging for students. Course content is built to state and national standards to teach the knowledge, skills, and competencies students need to succeed. Our robust reader support tools enable students to work through their lessons easily. We include links to outside resources and offer you the opportunity to add your own resources as well. There's also a dictionary, text-to-speech, and a translation tool with 16 different language options. In these new courses, our lesson activities are completely digital with no need to use a Dropbox or on-site documents. Lesson activities are self-checked and help students think critically about the content. Each tutorial ends with a video summary of the content learned.
In this lesson, we solve real-world problems using two-step equations.
So that's just a little bit about what this curriculum is about, how it will work for us. I've used digital curriculum extensively. I've taught for 4 years with it. I think it is, some people say it's the way of the future, but it's here now. There's other schools that are doing it now. And it actually saves us quite a bit of money. This particular program I brought to the middle school, and I got 500 licenses with it for $13,000 a year. Now that covered all of my textbook needs, everything. So it's actually much more cost effective. Now the reason that a lot of schools and districts don't do this is because the big expense is actually the hardware and the infrastructure that goes with it. We got that. We're doing that. All right? So now's the time to start pushing that a little bit further. Hit the next slide for me, Tom, please. All right. There's other things that come about. I'm just showing you one thing because I wanted to get that idea across that it's not a real textbook, but in a way it's like a curriculum. I guess the best way to say it's a curriculum delivery system. All right. So that's what that is. But other things also come about when you have a digital classroom. The curriculum is usually supplemented strongly, heavily by the teacher. Now the way that you do that is that a teacher doesn't have to do everything themselves. We developed that website that I've been talking about for 4 years now, about all the places where teachers can put things at. You can pull things off of there and put them in. Teacher-made videos. I'm going to show you something about that in just a second. That's become a big deal. Teachers making their own videos for their classrooms. Then this whole system integrates well with the Google for Education, which is our grapevine, which we are using right now anyway. So it uses Gmail, Google Sites, Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, the whole 9 yards. Next slide, please. All right, now I'm going to show you a little thing. First of all, this is my main website that I used when I was teaching careers 11, 12, and the high school. So, Tom, go ahead and hit the next one. Hopefully the sound works on this.
I want to take just a moment to show you a couple of the tools that are currently available to our teachers. You'll see extensive use in a digital classroom. The first is the software that I'm using to make this video with. It's actually part of the SmartBoard software that comes with every SmartBoard. And with every SmartBoard, we get 1,000 licenses for the SmartBoard software. So we've got this available to us. And the ability to make a video like this is huge. Because what you can do is you can actually make videos that preview a subject for students. And they can cover vocabulary. There can be a video inside the video that you want to show. And it's all produced right on your computer. You can see that I have the ability to move around and I can point to different things. So that's a tool that's readily available and becomes a big part of a digital classroom, both for introducing subjects and for reviews and vocabulary. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. The second thing I want to show you is this website. Now this website was made with Google Apps for Education, which is the same thing as our Grapevine. Every student, every teacher has access to the websites on Grapevine. This particular one was my main website, and my students can go here, and from here they can go to one of my classes, such as Careers 11, Careers 12, Mock Trial. Also, there are various resources I had over here. There's a typing web where students went to practice typing skills. I had seen it in some news. This was a book, 7 Habits for Highly Effective Teens, that I placed on the website that the students and I would read excerpts from time to time. I'm going to show you just one of the websites up here. This is my personal finance website, and this was taught within Careers 11. I gave everything from the course objective. There were all the units. There were teacher resources too. It goes to another website where I put resources that the teacher could use, but the students couldn't get to. There might be videos or something like that that you want to show during your class. And here's an idea of some of the things that they have to do. So, let me show you one of the units up here. Here's Unit 2. In this unit, we were talking about income and budgeting, and here are all the objectives for that unit. And that unit could consist of anywhere from 1 or 2 to 10 class periods. Lesson 1, we talked about types of income. There was the Apex lesson. Now, this was a lesson that comes from the digital curriculum that we use. And it was a quiz that they would work on. Here's the learning objectives right here. And then I would give them another assignment. So I supplemented the assignments that Apex had with other things that I wanted to
Pause it for a second. Oh, no, never stop. Let it go. It won't pause.
And see, each time we have some different things here. Here's homework form. Here's the learning.
See what it says in-class presentation?
These objectives.
That was the PowerPoint I used in the class. So even if they missed it, they go back and use that.
The others. I even talked in taxes, and you can see here, I was able to actually give links to the tax forms, the IRS website. You guys got to actually look at it. During this class, we printed out tax forms, and they filled out their W-4s, and they filled out their 1040s as well. So the student can really get involved in this. And the thing about this is that it keeps everything in one place. Then down here, I was able to do a unit review and then the test. Now, I didn't activate the test link until they got to that point where they were ready to take the test. So, just real quickly, that is how you can teach in a digital classroom.
Okay. We go to the next one for me, please. Some of the pros and cons, as far as I see it, the pros are it's extremely flexible. And what it does is it allows you to bring in all of these outside resources into your classroom, just like that. Resources that aren't just in the classroom, but that they can use at home as well. The materials are constantly updated, and we've already said we've had a problem with some of the textbooks being 7 years old. Or we've had them 7 years, and they were 2 years old when we got them. Increased student engagement, I think you can see that by looking at those shots, the screenshots of the kids interacting with that digital curriculum. Extends the classroom, and it actually increases teacher collaboration because now they can collaborate more in a digital world by sharing assignments. You take somebody else's assignment that they had made up, you can make it your own, you can change it, and get back to it. Cons, it does require extensive teacher training. Now, when we started that school 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, none of us had any training in. Clem Lee, who was kind of putting that whole thing together, said, you know, it's kind of like driving a car while you build it. And it was. We just got out there and started doing it. Things started developing, and it worked out. Infrastructure support is always an issue because as we add more videos, as we add more, we're going to put a bigger and bigger drain on that pipeline. So we're going to have to think about that as we go. And keeping track of computers and computer damage is always an issue. So, but those are just issues that need to be addressed, things that we can, that we should start working on now. And the reason that I want to do this is because I will guarantee you that when we have our first digital academy, we're going to have some problems. You know, there are things that we've got to get worked out, and I'd like to start on a small scale with, 150 students here, maybe 150 over here, and the courses would pretty much be the same courses. I mean, we've got Integrated Math 1. Well, they've got Integrated Math 1, 2, and 3. So the courses that we have are pretty much already aligned with digital curriculum that's available to us. So, next slide, please. So what I'm asking is that I have your support. I've already talked to Eric over at Tokay. He loves the idea. He's willing to do it. I'd like to start in the direction of having a digital academy there at Tokay High. And I'd also like to do Bear Creek High because I think they would be good for it as well. And then we could also, as things grow, we could integrate our feeder schools into it, middle schools into it. And that's what we do. So that's my part of this. That's my part of the discussion.
Mr. Everly?
Well, just a comment. When Mr. Neely was talking about a digital classroom, the first thing that came to my mind was it would be like an internet-based curriculum for a specific class. It wasn't, it's kind of almost like Independence High kind of thing where you just kind of click in it, you flow along and do what you got to do according to what it says. And then after talking to him, I wanted to have an understanding of where he was going and what his vision was on this. And I think that it's definitely something that we could continually look at, and if we don't continue looking at it, then people's comfort level won't change, their knowledge base won't change. And like I said earlier, there are some things that we did a few years ago, and we want to try to get those classes back, like the industrial arts or CTE type courses. But they'll have the touch of what we're doing today, what our needs are today. And I see this as something that, sure, it may be new to us, but everything is new until you do it. And it takes that kind of slow progression and trying to move forward and tackle those challenges that come with something new until we kind of get it sorted out. But if we just kind of say, well, I don't know, that's not for me, That's not for us. You really have an understanding of what it is and where we're going. So anyway, I would just say, yeah, I would be more than willing to kind of take to the next step and get into it a little bit deeper, because this was just a quick introductory blush. That's how I look at it. And so I would say there's certainly nothing wrong with looking at it again at the next kind of deeper levels.
Any other comments from the board?
Can I get some support from you? Is that Ron?
Is that financial?
Well, there's going to be some financial, but you know, the main thing I need is I need 4 of us, 3 more.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that we need to do is, I don't have any question about the program. I can see a lot of positives in it. What I would want, though, is the next step. If we're talking about working with 150 students somewhere, whether it be Bear Creek or Tokay or Lodi or wherever, I want to know what the costs are going to be for all the computers, for the training, for the things that go forward. If we were to do that for one school, and say just one school, say it costs $500,000. I have no idea on cost or anything of that nature, but something of that nature. And we find that is successful, and we want to go whole hog. How do we do it? How do we be fair? Because Bear Creek's got it, and Tokay and Lodi and McNair does not, and we want to get it to them. Then we need to have an avenue on how to do that. So that's what I'm looking at, not the program, but the avenue of getting to where we want to go.
The reason that I want to start off with a small number is because of what I said earlier, we're going to have problems. And so we're going to be developing our own policies and all that to deal with those problems. We're also going to be building a cadre of people who can help train others. And as far as the cost goes, the computer, we have the computers, so we're good on that. We have the computers, we have the infrastructure. What we need is pretty much just the software license. And as I said, I got 500 of them for 13,000, I think it was. So you're looking at an implementation cost of under $50,000. And then I think you need to be real careful how you roll it out and make sure that people are ready to use it. And I'm not saying that we can even do it by the beginning of next year, maybe the year after that. I don't know. We need to get together, we need to take our time, we need to look at it. But if we don't start now, we'll never make it happen. And this is the way that everything's going. I'm telling you, textbooks eventually it'll all be delivered digitally. There's so much more now than there used to be. So I think it's time that Lodi Unified took that step and moved ahead.
Any other comments? Any comments from the audience? Yep.
Mr. Nava, members of the board, I agree that technology tools and resources in our classroom are an essential element of student learning, as well as giving our students the skills they need to be proficient using those tools. A number of questions come to mind when thinking about something like this. The first would be, would we have to go out to a competitive bid process in order to select a vendor to provide this type of a product? Second question that would come, and these are just rhetorical, just kind of as they come to mind. The second is, how does this product differ from other products that we purchase, such as Odysseyware or K-12 Virtual Academy, both of which didn't fare so well here. When we look at virtual academies or digital academies across the state, the biggest one is a charter group called California Virtual Academies, And I can tell you that as an organizer with California Teachers Association, we've had a number of issues with CAPA statewide, with myriad of issues, to the point where we've actually introduced legislation to try to curb some of the abuses in the digital academy world by these different providers. When I did a quick look, and I understand that we're not selecting a vendor tonight, but when I did a quick look at this company, this is a for-profit company, and I would urge you to take real caution when you're talking about sending public school dollars for public school kids and send them to a company whose motive is to turn a profit for investors. This company is a for-profit company that is operated by a hedge fund, by an equity management fund. It was really easy to find that very quickly. So I have great concern as a public school employee about using public school dollars in a for-profit enterprise where the bottom line is not the education of our kids, but turning a profit for shareholders. So obviously we're at the beginning stages. My gut feeling is we've got a lot of great teachers and a lot of great resources, and we're rolling as fast as we can, given all of the requirements that we're having to shoulder in the classroom as things evolve, not the least of which I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you that our elementary teachers, especially in K-3, are having to teach an extra, I don't know, 65 minutes? I can't, we just had the discussion, an extra so many minutes of PE now, and that's encroaching in our day, that adding more things, we need to be very cautious as we add more things to our day. So, big proponent of using digital resources, digital tools, providing our students with the skills they need. Very cautious about purchasing a product and using that, given our experience and track record, and given our experience and track record that we're seeing statewide with how some of these academies are working.
Thank you, Jeff. Sonia?
First off, my understanding of this discussion is not that we're here to discuss whether or not we should purchase that particular product. My understanding is whether or not we should engage in some discussion about whether or not we should have a digital classroom. Digital classrooms are very different than virtual academies. Virtual academies are academies where students, by and large, generally work from home. They're typically sort of homeschooled students, where they work on a computer, they see a teacher maybe once or twice a week, and they generally do their education kind of from afar with a remotely based teacher. A digital classroom is very different. A digital classroom is where a teacher presents the curriculum in a digital format within the classroom. They see the student every single day. It's much like the classroom day that they have now, only they're walking into a classroom and using a digital format for curriculum as opposed to a paper book for curriculum. Digital textbooks and paper books right now are not what's going to continue to be the wave of the future. Digital textbooks that are tied to paper textbooks are going away. The reason is because paper textbooks can't keep up, and digital textbooks have to somehow align at least a little bit with those paper textbooks, don't they? The future is digital curriculum, where digital curriculum can be updated very quickly on an ongoing basis. Everything is created in a way that makes it up to date, makes it current, makes it relevant for today's students. In addition, when I look at this digital classroom, I think, wow, I as a teacher get to be a professional again, because it allows me to pick and choose the different items from the digital curriculum that best meets my students' needs. So I think that one thing that we've done as a school district that I find unfortunate is that we sometimes are late to the game. With the SBAC, we're pretty late to the game. Even though we're way ahead digitally, and this wasn't actually the district's fault, it really was more the fault of the state, but the way the SBAC was put on us was ridiculous. Everybody across the board had to start doing SBAC. Instead of introducing it in second grade and then doing second and third grade the next year and second, third, and fourth year after that, because those new standards build upon themselves, so it would make more sense to go slow and to start sooner. But we didn't do that with SBAC. We've had other instances in this district where we waited till last minute. For example, our math curriculum last year that we adopted, unfortunately was adopted very late in the game. So we didn't really have an opportunity to pilot it. My point, I guess, is this. This is what is coming, regardless of it's something that you understand right now or not. It is what's coming. And I think it is an excellent idea for us to look at it, to study it, to start out small, to work it into our district, at least to have a discussion about the possibility of it. And to see if we can't adopt something like this. That way, when it does come, we've already been on board, we've already taken the steps, we've already worked out a lot of the kinks, as opposed to coming in super late in the game and having to like grasp at straws and make our teachers figure something out right away, instead of having them learn with us along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Any other comments? Ms. Castle?
George. I'm not opposed to it at all. I guess what I would say is I support you in terms of, well, kind of what Sonia just got done saying, to bring us more information. It's very foreign to what I know, but I also know better than to sit there and say, with my experience, I can't imagine. So I don't want that to impede my judgment on this. I'll just give you an example of in a high school, and you had said this earlier, Ron, that in a high school, students choose courses by, what was your expression that you used? It's by word of mouth. It's word of mouth. So you've got like super popular teachers and so forth and so on. So I guess for starters, I would wonder how you would, like, who would the students be and how would you convince them to, so, and I don't want to be late with this, but simply that I would welcome additional information. And so I'm not opposing this, I just believe, I don't know enough about it to make an educated judgment.
Yeah, and I want to let you know that I talked to Eric, and Eric Sandstrom, it's okay. He was very excited about it and wanted to implement it. So, how do we choose the students? He chooses the students. We come up, he's going to develop a format, we'll have to work together on it, but we'll come up with a way. These are all things that have to be addressed. But we can't address all those things till we say, hey, that's the direction we want to go. And then once we've said that, then we can start working out all this other stuff. And I do want to make it clear that I am not promoting this, but this was the only way that I had of bringing this to you and showing you, because I no longer have a license to get on it myself. So I could probably get one and I could probably share that with you guys, but this was the most expeditious way I could find to let you know what's out there. Because most people don't know what's out there. They don't know that there's all of these different CTE classes that include computer programming, computer for college and careers, principles of information technology, and web technologies. All of that is included with that basic price. So, but this isn't the only company that has that, all right? I taught a web design class from another company. The personal finance class I showed you up there, that was from Apex. So there are other vendors out there, and I think that we're going to have to take our time and look at it. Now, Jeff, I understand what you're saying, but textbook companies make a lot of profits, and so it's kind of the same thing. But I'm not saying that we need to get on this. We can look at, we should look at others, because there may be some ones that are really good.
George, I have a comment. Sandstrom over at OK unilaterally decided that he would accept that. We do have a technology committee, don't we?
We do.
Okay, and have you gone through the technology committee?
No, because they haven't met in 9 months.
Okay, well, I think that should be, initiated. This is my...
I didn't get an email on it.
Should be initiated, and then you mentioned also, once that a technology committee gets hold of it, then you have some logistics as to the process and who's going to be served, whether it's Stoke, Bear Creek, or just like Darrell mentioned there, the other 2 high schools. And you also have to consult with the curriculum committee, because those are the people that put in the curriculum in our schools. for unilateral and just make a decision, and I'm not opposed to it because, like I said, it's the future. And we have to, it's good to go in that direction, but personally, I need to have the tech committee, the curriculum committee, and then give us a thorough presentation of the logistics, the cost, and everything that's included, and what classrooms are going to be used, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, Mr.
We're not to that point yet.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, we're not at that point, but we got to get started with those kind of
And
things.
that's why we need the board to say, yes, this is the direction that we want to go, and then things will start happening. Then you'll get all the reports, you'll get all the costs, and it may not be okay. I don't care where it's at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because
But I'm telling you that I do have a principal that's interested in doing
yes, I know you do, but is Bill Atterbury interested in working?
We'll find out.
Mr. Nava?
Yes.
Question. Undoubtedly, at least I'm reasonably sure that when we select a textbook, Dr. Washer, we have a textbook committee that reviews the textbooks and chooses them and see if the textbooks meet our needs. I would assume that we would have the same, may not be the right word, group that would have to go through each of those programs to see if they were to meet our needs, because we would have no idea whether they were following the curriculum, very much what Mr. Nava has said. I think.
President Nava, I would
Yes.
support your suggestion. If Jeff is correct, this is a bad idea, and then we shouldn't do it. If George is right and it's a good idea, then why aren't I giving it to my students at McNair? So I do not want to see my students from McNair excluded from the opportunity. Even though I understand that we're creating a test case, using district resources at this level without making it available to my students, I don't think it would be fair. I do agree with Sonia. I believe this is the way to the future. They brought me a bill for our legal newspaper. It's $800 a year subscribed. You get one newspaper. It has judges' profiles, cases, and everything else. Well, I said, you know what, we get that online, so no thank you. I read my Chronicle on Sunday that the paper closed. And it had nothing to do with us saying no. But this is obviously the way of the future. So I'd like more investigation on this, on all the different levels, but I would like to see McNair students included.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. You have a comment, Mr. Simpson?
Hey, before Mr. Simpson gives up that, Jeff, I didn't take it that you were against it. Is that right?
I didn't say that.
No, I didn't think you did.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Roger said that you were against the idea, and I didn't hear you say
I
that.
have concerns about companies that provide prescribed curriculum a la K-12 Virtual Academy and their ilk.
But you understand, this is a blended classroom, it's in a virtual academy. I mean, you know,
I'm not convinced that that's what it looks like yet, no.
No, the concept is it's a teacher that stands there and teaches, just like we do now. They use, instead of a textbook, they use this curriculum delivery system. That's a big difference. And this gives that teacher a lot more.
I understand how the model works.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it you don't?
Another time.
Huh?
Now's a great time.
No, it's not. This is not an appropriate time for dialogue.
Okay,
this is a board discussion for him.
For the board. I'll talk to you after if you'd like.
Thank you again for this opportunity to make comment. I come from industry, and I work for a multi-nationwide corporation. I'm an electronic engineer by degree. I'm a field services implementation technologist, and quite typically when we roll something out, we pick a test bed. We provide a test bed environment to roll out a new product. Summer school seems like that would be a viable test bed. You can develop something on a summer school time frame, test it, find out where the weaknesses are, refine it, come back the next year. This is not going to be a one-year implementation. No matter what you do, it's going to take time to develop it, roll it out, and to meet the need. Summer school is a short-term operation. You can develop maybe one class for that. You can implement it district-wide in those schools that would choose to participate in that test bed. Once you have your data, you can go back and analyze that data, find out what the weaknesses and the strong points are, go back to the vendor and say, we needed to do this, this, this. This was too cumbersome to develop in a short-term environment. A teacher creates a video, spends a lot of time making that video. It's more than just 15 minutes. So to custom roll stuff on the fly, it takes a lot of thought. So while the teacher is engaged up here trying to develop this, what's being taken away from the student because he's thinking about this instead of what the student need is. So to make this thing as interactive as possible, but intuitive at the same time, and the way you're going to find that out is by a slow rollout test bed scenario where you can develop the product as you need it, because it's going to be an ever ongoing change. And Mr. McNeely, you are so right. Look at what the rest of the world is doing. They're already light years ahead of us in education. Why do you think we're importing engineers from India? Because our kids aren't being taught in high school level what they need to compete in the college level. It's just watch them talk, watch them write, watch them try to deduce logic. They can't get there. There's a whole generation left out. You guys have the opportunity to stop that in our school district and make a positive contribution to the future. So, Mr. Neely, you're right on. You guys have everything. This is a very lucky district in the fact that there's some monies here that other places don't have, and you've got foresight and people who can make it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. All right.
Well, I'll reiterate my position too, is that I think from this, like I said before, first blush, I don't think that we would really know if this is what we're going to do full bore or not. And I really like the idea of starting small, working it out, taking our time, but we really don't know until we talk about it some more. So I think bringing it back and having further discussions and however we can get that information, because that would then lead us to a more informed decision of what we're going to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Nava?
Yes.
I need some clarification from the board, if you don't mind. This is a discussion item, as you know, not an action item.
Yes.
Are you directing staff at this point? Just want to make sure we're clear.
Directing staff to what?
That's what I'm asking.
There's no direction for staff, I don't think.
I would like for the board to say we need to look at a digital academy and start moving forward. Can I get anybody else? You say you want it at McNair. Well, you're never going to get it at McNair if you don't start someplace.
Well, your proposal right there doesn't have McNair on it.
Well, put McNair on there. That's fine with me.
Okay, well then if McNair's on there, I'll support it.
Really?
By the way.
Anybody else want to throw something else on
Yes. I do like Mr. Simpson's idea that if you're going to try something, you're not offending McNair, Bear Creek,
Lodi,
Tokay. You do it in summer school.
I just want to point out, I'm sorry, that that's a whole different situation.
Yeah.
Teachers are not on their regular salary at that point. And since something like this would require specialty from teachers, I'm not sure that that would get that type of...
Yeah, I think also the summer school is really not what this is, because this would be all of your core subjects under that digital classroom umbrella. It's not a individual course, where summer school is an individual course.
I disagree. Now, unless summer school has changed 20 years ago, that much. If a student is going to make up English or world history, would that not be offered in a digital class?
But it could be, but it's a standalone class.
The summer school program that we have mostly is credit recovery. Not all of it is credit recovery. We do have, we did open it up last year to enhancement classes. My concern would be that the level of specialization that a teacher would need to have and comfort level with presenting, planning, preparing, presenting in a digital world might be different than the teachers who would be teaching at summer school. It is a different pay rate at that point. It is a condensed time. There is not the planning opportunity that would be required of this type of program, especially when it's new and there would need to be that collaboration with teachers. I just think that it would not be conducive to how we are running summer school at the moment. That's my opinion at this point.
Okay, my recommendation again, I'm going to state this, would go to the Technology Committee. And I know, George, you're a member of it, and you have other members. Excuse me? And, yes. And then you have a Curriculum Committee. Now, if you come out with all the logistics, the inclusions, exclusions, the amount of money it's going to cost, the teacher training, all those kinds of things, what materials are we going to use, and so forth. If you come out with some of that, it gives clarity to me, then I will say, I know the things are needed. It's possible for this district to go ahead full tilt and do it.
All I'm asking for is your initial direction. I need 4 people to say that we should look at it. And then we can get that and bring it back. But until we get that part of it,
well, okay,
we can't even start on it.
Pull the board, Mr. Freitas.
I don't understand the proposal. Is it just to investigate a digital academy in the abstract, or a digital academy at Tokay?
With the direction, take Tokay off there, take Bear Creek off of there. If you want to try, but the idea is we have to start small, because I guarantee you there are going to be a number of issues that are going to have to be addressed. And it's much easier to address it on a small scale rather than try to flip the switch on this whole district. So if we want to do one at each high school, and we want to cut the numbers down, but we've got to figure out what the numbers should be. I said 150. I use that because of 5 class periods, 30 in each class, that kind of thing. But there's probably a lot more that we need to look at. So this is, what I'm looking for is a direction, the board to give direction that, yes, we need to start looking at a digital academy with the goal of initially, of implementing. If we go out there and we find out it's not feasible, or it doesn't prove it, it doesn't happen.
Well, I have no problem investigating the digital academy. Like, I think my comments are very clear. But if the sole goal is to instill one at a high school that's not one of my high school, it doesn't involve my students, then I cannot support that. So if your proposal is to direct staff to investigate possibility of starting a digital academy at Lodi Unified, I'll support it.
Yes.
Change it to say that.
That's 1.
Mr. Womack?
Yeah, 2.
3.
What's 3? A number of things that were spoken of today that I totally agree with as far as this is the way of the future. It's something that we have and we're behind the curve on already, as I agree. At the same time, to just start and doing something is kind of like just jumping in. And I'm a little uncomfortable with just jumping in. So if you're talking about exploring it further, then I'm not clear on what staff is supposed to do, because this is, you're taking the lead on it, and you have input here that you need to include the teachers and the curriculum committee and the technology committee. Wouldn't that be served well if you let a subcommittee or something yourself and have their input and stuff on that, versus, I'm not sure what staff would do with that at this point.
Well, the first place I'm thinking is the technology committee would take a look at it and then kind of make a plan out. What are we going to do? And you're right, we're going to have to talk. We're going to have to select the sites we're going to do it.
scale and where and
Right.
cost and all those things.
All of that has to be done. But, like I say, when you say, what is the approval? Well, it will direct the technology committee to move forward.
Well, that's different than directed staff. I'm just unclear on that because I don't know if we're at the point where we do that yet until we've heard more of the information. But we have to coming back to us with those kind of details. Talking about it as well. Is that I think the concept seems to be quite acceptable.
Right.
But what does that really look like?
And that's where we need to find out. That's why we need the technology committee involved, we need the curriculum council involved, we need lots of people involved in that.
Would you be leading that?
I'll be involved in it because I've got the experience on this.
I support the concept of looking into a digital academy.
Okay?
Discussion? Mr. Talker?
Yeah, I said yes.
You
You
said
didn't hear
yes.
me, huh?
No, I did not hear you, sir.
Looking into.
I can't hear very well on this here, but this one. Ron?
Sign language. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to look into a digital academy.
I don't think anybody, I personally don't say, don't look at it, yes. I mean, why would I
point
do?
is-
But the
is-
staff is not directed, we're directing, like Mr. Womack said, to the technology committee. You've got something going on,
Which
you've
is
got
run
the
by
direction.
staff. That's my point. I mean, Lisa's in charge of the technology committee.
Good work.
May I make a suggestion, Mr. Nava?
Yes.
It sounds like the board is interested in the concept, but doesn't quite know the details, and that would be important in any kind of decision you were going to make. So if you could leave the details up to us, we'll take your direction that you like the concept, but that you need more information, and we'll take it from here.
Very good. Okay, very good. Settled. Okay, let's go with board advisory committee reports. Being none, not here, she's not here. Future agenda items, board members make suggestions. Any agenda items for the board? Being none, meeting adjourned. Sure, you and your pocket.
Thank you for your comments.
I got a teacher, Mrs. Deborah.
Oakview High School?
Well,
Senior L?
it was senior L.
That would be,
Yes. Long time. Just for my colleague. I graduated.
my mom taught at Senior L also.
Senior L and
I just want to let you know that
wording to do it, and the reason this is is because the teachers need to train more because they're not going to dump this on the teacher and they're going to pick it up and run with it. This is going to be taken over.
Who wants this? And they'll say, Mom in, and then they'll come and get the training, and then things will progress.
Right. To fully implement this rights.
Oh, no. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, my daughter knows a lot of those people. She was always in the science fair academy.
But what you're asking me to do is like, you're asking me to go, when you get punched in the face, you're never cheating. That's what my brother taught me. It is hard to do. You know, I love it.
I was never involved in all this.
You're welcome.
Fantastic, yeah.
So you're a problem with Mr. Burbank, they were electronics teachers. Mr. Burbank was okay, Mr. Burbank was at Lodi. I am an electronics engineer because of Lodi High School. Okay? I went through all four. By the time I was in fourth year of electronics, I could have taught that class because I was so much part of it. But because of that, where I went, because of that, I knew that that's what I was doing. I saw that out of my career focus. And those are the technologies of the future. And I don't know what happened, but those classes are being challenged in some ways.
Alright, I'll see you. Anyway, thank you.
So Sonia, you're not a Woodbridge, are you doing it this way?
I've spent 5 years in one classroom. That's my son. But I teach I'm so happy. Streaming. My partner last year at Woodbridge, he's older than I am. I'm 45.
I love to see it.
51, 52.
Eighth graders are writing Android and iPhone apps
It's a good thing I was
for school credits.
I gotta leave for Texas tomorrow morning, real early. Yeah, so.
You are an inspiration.
I just
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
edited as a PDF file and I posted it to my Google Classroom. I was going to tell you, but I didn't. I did it all myself, and I'm like, you rock, and I'm buying you
You know, and homework and,
So,
you know, an exorbitant
that's
amount of
just what
hours
we need
at
to do
home.
is
What
technology.
we really need to do is
The kids,
stick to your gun.
they get, because they're growing up so
Exactly.
I'm 56, my age group is like maybe 60, 40 kids. And I've been lucky, I've been able to technology that now we implemented it, it's been implemented, like I was treated for Lois Johnson, you know, would be to the board that fixed the support. She struggled to today, she
A full lecture from UCSF.
Right. And so we have a period of time with this generation of kids. They'll die off.
And I think that's a really good point. You know, I've thought about why is it that some people get it so much up. I think it's because when you look at a computer screen, you need to look at it like it's a map
about anything in the world, about anything.
look for those things that can help you figure out how to
That's
fix
what
what it
happens
is
to
that's
our
happening.
kids. They get
And they're all
dumbed down
hidden somewhere,
because teachers
right?
don't
So
care.
you have to have that desire
Just
to
babysit
end
and do their 8 hours and
fear.
then they're out of there.
You know,
My
I
daughter
have
is
crashed the computer.
a
I've
straight A
crashed 3
student. She's had
computers. 2 of them I fixed myself, 1 belonged to the
8
district.
straight
It was
semesters
anyways, what am I gonna say?
She's in all the classes in high school now.
But
She
you know
can
what?
handle it, but it
They're
stresses
just
her out.
machines.
They are.
And you
if
just
my
need to
daughter,
not.
who is the ultimate overachiever, is getting stressed by the amount of homework hours, they're responsible.
Naming them.
And all of her, I know all of her friends and parents. Mrs. Daniel, she's a teacher at Millswood. My daughter is best friends with her daughter, and they have the same problem. They're on the phone till 8, 9 o'clock at night, working on homework projects.
So there are those, now we're bringing up my son is extremely mechanical.
So there is a.
That's a lot of homework.
It is.
Yeah.
And
Well, that goes with the game.
and
my next
Yeah.
one is,
It's so-
I'm gonna
it's-
teach myself.
AP is supposed to be.
Guys, I'm
I'm excited.
I get to go.
That's my next challenge.
Good for you.
I've never
Thank
done
you,
it.
Lynn.
Thank you guys for your
Nice,
time.
George.
See ya.
Thank you.
Oh, hey,
Welcome.
I'll send you my address. I'm leaving
It's
tomorrow for
important you're-
Texas, and I'm gonna be back until the middle
I
of
have
I knew you were gonna be gone like a month.
Yeah, so
Too much.
I'm gonna make 2 of them from Texas, and I'm gonna make 1 from the Navigator of the Seas, somewhere in the West Caribbean.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, guys.
Nice.
Sorry about the problems tonight. I know we were kind of teasing you.
No, that's all right.
It's no big deal,
But that's the third meeting in a row, so
Well, you
I
had a
actually,
test meeting yesterday,
it ran fine.
and it ran perfect.
So I don't know if it's a timing issue in the evening, or the process. But I got a hold of the vendor. I told him, I'm gonna call you, and he's back east.
Yeah, 3 hours later, he's in Virginia.
We're gonna check logs.
Honestly, it's all good. Well,
It is what it is, and we work around
You
it.
just move on. Adapt and overcome, huh?
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, sorry I can call you, but I've got kids.
Awesome.
We were at my daughter-in-law's and then babysitting, and it's just like, and I'm going, I can't call her now. She's probably in the meeting, you know. I'm sorry.
No worries, we had a quorum, so Bonnie
Okay.
came, which she usually doesn't,
Yeah.
so we had 7. And I figured something must have come up, that's great.
Well, and let me know too, if, you know, like the crab feed thing, I want to make sure that we're on track, and if you've got an assignment for me, that's good.
And we will definitely have assignments.
And it's just like the casino night, I'll stay for the close, because I find all the foundations and organizations I'm with, it's like, oh yeah, it's done, they pick up a little bit, they all start filtering out, it's like 6 people cleaning
We're
everything
gonna
up.
have assignments, because we have to put tables and chairs back and that whole thing.
Yeah, it's always easy to get people there at the beginning.
Yeah.
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 So,
It's at, Japanese American Citizen. It's a nice facility.
it is, I went and looked at
Those
it.
people are so nice
They
to
are.
deal with.
Where's it at?
It's cheap.
The Japanese is very cheap.
What did they charge?
Maybe 8, I can't remember, it's been a while since we did them, but.
How many do they hold?
We can get, it holds up to 300 or 250.
Oh, that was the reason you went there, to get your own bar.
Yeah, we can do our own bar. So
What did you guys decided on that?
we're just gonna test it up and, no, they believe, you know, if consensus that we need hard liquor. So, and Kim, bless her heart, she gets on the phone, there's an added, article in the newspaper about the Cider Brothers. They're a wine-based family that now is making cider. She called them today, they're gonna donate cider for us. So, you know, we're gonna get wine donations.
Try to get their name out there.
What is that guy's name? He's a distiller. Just like a home brew, he does home distilling. And they live on Atherton, right around the corner from me. Where am I? Oh, I met him at a casino.
Oh.
The very first casino. A teacher that taught with Susan, they're the same age, and they know these two girls know each other. And so we were kind of talking about what do, you know. And so I had a chance, we gave her kids swim lessons. And so we were talking about it. Is that your husband in the papers? We should actually, that's what he does, still. And I don't know if he can,
You know, I talked to John Cotter, who used to own David Sellers. But he sold the winery, and that's what he's doing now, is he's distilling the grape liquor.
Really?
Vodka, gin.
Wow. Interesting. I'm not a big drinker, like,
I don't
how
do-
far I might step out of.
Yeah, I don't do hard liquor.
No, I don't either.
And I don't even know what people.
I don't do cider, I don't do beer, I mean, I have a glass of wine, that's it.
Yeah, I'm a beer guy.
Kim came up with an idea that I thought was pretty good though, and then she got on the phone and called Starbucks. They are considering donating big craft coffee, and then we're gonna have, instead of yellow shots, we're gonna put in a little cup with a lid, a shot of either Bailey's or fluid that people buy for them coffee. So coffee will be free, but if we can buy, you know, sell to a cup of fluid or Bailey's, you know, I don't know, we'll see. Hey, it's a big experiment, it is what it is. But
Well, you know.
no guts, no glory, right?
That's right.
Good night.
Keep it
Hi,
going.
Ron, thanks. Yeah, frickin' meeting made me mad.
Oh my gosh, Tom, I am so sorry, that was just horrid, wasn't it?
And Michael said it was worse on him last time.
It was bad on him, but it was nothing like tonight. Nothing, I mean, not even close to tonight. Tonight was just shockingly horrid. And of course, it's the nice, they pulled all but 2 items probably off the consent agenda.
Yeah, one of those items, 10 got voted on, and they said 10 wasn't supposed to, and 11 didn't, and 11 was supposed to.
You know what? They're wrong, because I wrote them down and she said them. So, I mean, I'll have to go back and listen to the recording, but.
I think I jumped over one of them.
Doesn't matter. I did not pull 10 off the agenda because I didn't write it down. So I think she forgot to say it. I'm gonna go back and listen to the recording. Not that that matters to them. I mean, I'm not gonna go say, oh, you were wrong and I was right.
They all passed 7-0 anyways.
Yeah, so. Anyway. And you know, I'm sorry. She could pull one and make a call. Really? We have to pull them all?
Don't forget Tim's sign over there.
Oh, thank you. I knew I left one when I was talking to Ron, and then I was going to walk away.
So the reason I couldn't get in,
Yeah?
the door system's down.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Man, I must have got lucky by getting